Hi, everyone, and welcome to Book Club with Bay. I am Bay, and this is Bay. Say hi, Bay.
Hi, Bay.
And today we are talking about Ghost Town, a book in the Morganville Vampire series, the one that comes after Kiss of Death.
I think it's 10. Is it 10?
Maybe?
Is it 9?
I don't know.
What is it?
That's a good question. It's a very good question.
I'll tell you in a second, okay?
I agree
we should know this.
We should, but here's the thing. There's a lot of books. We know
It's
where
9.
it goes. Okay, good.
It's 9. I'm not going to lie. I felt so stupid because, like, when you're like, this is Bay, say hi. I'm like, hi. And then you started saying, like, the book title. I'm like, that's not what you're supposed to say. I was waiting for you to say, and this is other Bay.
She's not here right now. She's not invited to the party. How dare you?
I was waiting for him, like, well, that's rude. I'm like, no, wait. That involves a third person. It's late. I'm tired. Leave me alone.
It's okay.
So, yeah. Morganville.
Welcome. What are we doing for... Okay, sorry. I just don't remember. What are we doing for the next book with Addie?
Are we going to do...
We made a decision.
Yeah, we're going to do the next Blood Air.
But we also made another decision about, like, another series.
Oh, crap. What was it?
I don't remember.
She's not awake yet, is she?
No. And good for her, honestly. I don't know.
You know what? Sorry, I just opened up the group chat on my computer, and all that I see is your knee. I'm just... I wasn't expecting it.
It was mean concrete, I'll tell you what. I don't know if we texted about it. I think we talked about it last time.
I know, but I'm gonna... Then you wake up. Other than... Is it Red Tigress? Well, it says say Blood Air too. We doing next week forecast.
The other question is... Real quick.
What is the other question?
When is the next Mercy book coming out?
Or is it? I think end of March.
Yeah. Okay. It's an Alpha Omega book. It's Wild Sign.
Yes.
It's coming out on May 26th.
May. Oh, god damn it! I thought it was March. That's just rude.
Yeah.
I'm excited though.
I am too.
I'm not gonna lie, I miss Charles.
Yeah, same.
We don't have enough Charles. There's only 5 Alpha Omega books.
Hold on, sorry. We're taking a tangent right now.
It's an important tangent.
Wilds of North. What is this freaking? Okay, good. I was like, is that the right book? What the heck? Okay. In the wilds of Northern California. Oh, thank God. They're traveling. The FBI dumps the whole problem in the lap of the landowner.
Wait. If FBI is there, that might mean that Leslie Fisher is there. Sorry, carry on.
I hope so. Okay. It looks like we might be in a rural area, but they're traveling. And the only books that we haven't liked in the Alpha Omega series are the ones where they're in mountains and in the wilderness. Basically the ones where they don't go somewhere. Because when they go somewhere, it's always a good time.
Death sings in the forest, and when it calls, Charles and Anna must answer. Something has awakened in the heart of the California mountains, something old and dangerous, and it has met werewolves before. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, I know what it was.
What was it?
It was the Jenny series, and it was like Fire and Ash or something.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just putting it in there so she doesn't have to worry. Yeah,
Okay.
because remember, and it was the one where like the first book or something won like the Goodreads Choice Award.
Okay.
But like you look at the ratings and like they're all like, you know, I think it's like 3.5 stars at most.
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
I am too. Okay. So this book.
Yes, this book. So yes. Ghost Town ratings. Or we number them. Where's our list?
Okay. So we don't have Kiss of Death ranked, first of all.
Oh, we didn't did we actually do it? And no.
I don't know, we didn't, because I would have done it. So right now we have Feast of Fools first, Carpe Corpus, Midnight Alley, Dead Girls Dance, Glass Houses, Fade Out, Lord of Misrule.
I'm not gonna lie, all of these titles are like I'm feeling the vibe of the decade in which these were published.
So here's my issue with rating these. Because the way that we did this with like Mercy Thompson and Alpha Omega, it's really easy because all of those are very self-contained.
Well, and not just that, but a lot of them are similarly formatted. Like the plot's different. Sometimes the pacing can be a little bit different, but like it's still the same sort of thing where like, you know, a thing is occurring, mystery must be solved, but also all of the subplot stuff. Whereas this is like we had the Morganville Call of Duty book, we had the 3-book arc of Bishop, we had the standalones, we had like they're all
right,
you know.
And the thing about like the Mercy books is, and like the Alpha Omega books, I mean the Alpha Omega books are a bit different because like the Mercy books are the main series, really. The Alpha Omega books skip around more in the timeline because we're not with them as much. But yeah, like they're really self-contained. The formatting is pretty much the same. Like there's a problem, we go solve it. There's like some other thing that might be a thing.
Whereas like some of the Morganville books bleed into the next, some don't, some do, some don't.
Right. And
it's hard.
Yeah, and because like they bleed more, it's kind of like when a series is more of like a part, like when a book in a series is like chapter 1 of a bigger story, that means that like book 2 doesn't stand on its own as much as far as story goes, which makes which also makes like it makes it harder to like compare them against each other.
Yeah, I mean, like this one is it's not the most standalone book. It's one of the more standalone books, but it's not the most standalone book.
Oh, well,
like
bless you. Sorry.
Last book was effectively a standalone book.
Yeah.
This one, kind of.
Right.
Like I feel like the events of this one more heavily relied on previous events.
Yes.
To occur. Yeah, I don't know. Well, do we want to keep doing the ranking rating system or?
Yeah, like we can try. I'm just like that's what's hard for me personally is like I said. I mean, because it's just so much easier when I don't because also like when like the vibe, like the structure is different, but like the vibe of I'm trying to figure out how to word it because so many things matter from previous books when it comes to the story of like the next book. The book kind of bleed into each other, whereas with Mercy, even though the vibe is more consistent.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know what you mean, but I don't know. Like, I know, but I'm equally confused, is what I'm saying.
It's just hard. It's just hard for me to rank them, is all. Like, I like them all.
Okay, well, Kiss of Death.
And I'll say this too. Okay. Here's the other issue I have. Yep. I think is a better way to articulate this. Looking back at like Mercy books, I have no confusion about what happened in book 6 or book 5 or any of the books. I can tell you exactly what happened and what they did, at least as far as some of the more subtle, like some of the subplot stuff, maybe not. But any like the major plot of any of the Mercy books, I can tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And the Alpha Omega books, I might get them out of order. Like, I don't think I know the order by heart. But I know what happened in each book. But in these books, I do not really remember which one was like what exactly happened in Fade Out versus like Feast of Fools in Carpe Corpus. The first 3 I know what happened, but past that,
no, Fade Out is the movie one, like the one with Kim.
Okay.
Because it fades out. It fades to black. Fade out.
Okay.
Get it?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. That's the main reason why I remember that. And I'm not gonna lie. I've read this series probably at least 10 times. Probably more, actually. It was only when we were reading it for this that the title clicked.
It didn't click for me. It did not click for me. Until you just said that.
Well, again, though, you haven't read this series over 10 times.
No, I haven't. Like, and the first time I read it, obviously, this was the first time I read this book, and I don't think I caught everything, so I've got the ebook pulled up because I just got a new dog, and so I did not have time to take notes, so I just pulled up the ebook so that I could kind of remind us of shit.
Yeah.
But all that to say, I don't know what my rating is. So I liked it.
Yes.
We got new like lore stuff, which was fun. And I enjoyed that.
How did you like the ending? Don't tell Shane. How did you like it?
It was spicy. I will say that.
Were you expecting it? I don't think I was expecting it the first time I read it.
No, so I've said this, like I wasn't expecting, because we all know this about me, I am notoriously like like bad at expecting endings. Because when and it's not that I can't predict things, it's just that when I'm reading, I don't try.
I my mind just can't help it. Like, I don't know if I'm if my brain's trying or if I just can't ignore the hints. That is why, let's go back to our favorite plot twist of all time. That is why the brand plot twist was like, I loved it. Because even on rereads, like I pay extra special attention to anything involving Matt Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing everything is so carefully written that the reader assumes he means, like, you know, a wolf of his position wouldn't feel threatened or etc. An alpha wouldn't feel threatened in the presence of such a wolf type thing. And you assume that he's thinking, because he knew the whole time who it was. You assume he's saying, like, you know, well, an alpha's not threatened by a submissive, you know. But what it means is, like, well, an alpha's not threatened by the Marok.
Right.
And so, like, everything is so carefully written where it applies to both. So there's no possible way that you could know.
Well, what she's doing is, and what's funny is, like, she's kind of setting it up throughout the whole series, right? Because she's constantly talking about, like, lying with the truth.
Yes, and that's what she was doing. She was lying to us with the truth.
Right, so, like, her saying an alpha's not threatened by a submissive. That's true. It's irrelevant.
Yep. Because she also, and everything is, well, like, when he actively thinks, instead of using a vague term like, you know, such a wolf or something like that, and when it's like, you know, well, it's like when, like, Matt Smith is being more, like, you know, shy or something. Adam goes, well, a submissive would be shy, and you think it's like he's just observing the behavior, but he's like, well, whereas it's actually like, bravo, Bran, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, he's like, he's like, yes, a submissive would be shy, and a submissive would be shy. That doesn't mean it just a submissive would be shy. He would be shy. If he were a submissive, what it means is he would be. What he means is a submissive wolf would be shy, and Bran would be shy if he were a submissive, and he is acting like a submissive. And then also, like, it's fine for Bran to look him in the eye, and she's like, well, he looked him in the eye. It calms him down. It's not a challenge.
Because you can't challenge Bran, because we all know.
And also, dominance has already been established. But what she says is, this wasn't a challenge, and it's all good, fam.
Yeah, because
and like it applies to both situations, and it's fucking fun. And you're just like, oh, okay, and you fucking buy it. You buy it like the noob you are.
And, like, every single time, I'm like, if I didn't know, I still wouldn't know.
And the thing is, like, so like, for this one, like, no, I didn't see it coming. But like, for this, and most plot twists, or, like, most surprises, I'll say,
what's that?
When it happens, I go, yeah, okay. Because I do pick up on the hints.
This one was kind of a relief.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't meant to be a plot twist. This wasn't a plot twist. It was just a conclusion.
Right. And like I said, I do go. Yeah. And, like, so for this, I went, like, you know, for most things, I go, yeah, okay. Because it's not that I'm, like, expecting it, because I don't actively do that, but I pick up on hints. I just don't, like, crime board shuffle them together. Unless it's super obvious. Unless you say something like, I can't think of an example, but you know, like, you have to make it hella obvious for me to get it.
Because, like, Patty, she's not always subtle. Like, the book with the senator's son. Where he's I knew, like, from, I think, his first scene. I'm like, because he just had a vibe. He had a vibe. But then also the fact that he was always, like, he was always left out of the important core group conversations where, like, Leslie was in on and stuff like that. But then he showed up just in time every time to be like, so what's going on? What's going on? What do you know? What do you know? Let's make an ass out of myself. What do you know?
Well, the other thing,
and get foiled.
When I really,
they don't get foiled is when he's not there. Sorry, and the only time they don't get foiled is when he's not there, and he's not part of the thing.
The other thing is, So I just recently reread it, and this is where I got this is when I knew I was like, oh, he's gonna be the thing. Is when he pulls a gun on Charles.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "You're kind," and then it's like, "Oh, okay."
Yep.
I mean, but the good thing about it is that
I didn't care about knowing.
Well, because it's not like he's a red herring, and they don't have a red herring.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's pretty good at not doing the red herring thing.
Yeah.
Like, the only time that she's kind of, that I can think of off the top of my head, I could be wrong, there could be more, but like the Burn Bright with Leah, where they think, but you kind of go into it though being like, but she can't be. And
yeah,
because it just wouldn't, you know, and like even Charles is like, look, everything's pointing to her with big bright arrows, and I still don't buy it.
Right.
Like Charles is like, I don't freaking buy this shit.
Yeah.
So yeah. Is that a red herring when the protagonist is just like, look, I read the horoscopes, it says it's Leah, I don't believe it.
Yeah, no, that's not a red herring for me, because you know, it directs you to also be like, okay, yeah, Leah's sus, but she's always been sus, so it's probably not her.
Yeah, like she's a like, and that I will say, like, I know that was, I think that was our least favorite Alpha Omega book. I think primarily because of the whole Brand's funny about Mercy. I don't like it, okay? Especially when they try to imply that, like, you know, the musical nights when she was prepubescent were like some sort of weird pseudo mating ritual. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't either.
That Bran is not courting a toddler, okay? He wasn't. but there are bits in that it makes it like, I'm glad the book exists, because like there's bits in it, like with Charles when he's talking about like when he was really little and how he was just like, you know, if Leah had just, you know, given me a hug just once, I would have been her like loyal devotee.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, Charles, he breaks my heart every time.
Yeah.
But Morganville.
Yeah, Morganville. Okay, so
the plot is they fix the problem caused by Ada's suicide and chaos ensues. The end.
So, right. So what we kind of decided last time is that taking this beat by beat is not really the best way forward.
No, because there's too much little shit.
Right. Because and this is not a problem with the books. It's a problem with it's a problem with our format, really, when discussing some books, is how I'll put it.
Well, if you're gonna go like plot point by plot point, it's fucked when you've got such character focused books.
Right. And like I said, it's not an issue with like the books. We ran into this issue with the Mark Lawrence books, because there are
for a walk.
And right. And it was just funny going over those books, because we were like, so they went for a walk, and I swear it's not as dumb or boring as it sounds, but they walked and they slept and then they walked and went on a boat and they talked to a whore and had a run-in with some elephants. And then
like I remember, I think it was the first one where I was like, the plot of this is basically like he comes home and then goes and does a thing, and then comes back home, and then that's it.
Right. But like it's true that like that is because it's like, but like the walking is interesting. Like I don't know how to and like we didn't know how to express that. Like
it's a fun walk.
Really, it was a fun walk to read, but I don't know how to make that sound okay.
Where, and I will say that this book probably had some of the more useful personal interactions between the because in previous books, right, like even like in the Call of Duty book, right, that they're out like going through the streets doing their guerrilla warfare shit, and then they're just like, okay, well, I guess we just go home and have dinner now. And then they go home and like Shane and Eve bicker, and then they each all respectively go off to their canoodling rooms, and it sounds more derelict than I'm sure it actually is, but
well, yeah, like to draw a parallel to the right, like to draw a parallel to the walking books. These books are a lot of sitting and talking, but I swear it's interesting. I swear it's fun. Like,
but like in this one though, right? They can't but in the midst of the plot occurring, where shit's going to hell, they can't all just go back and do a thing because none of them remember who each other is.
Yeah.
So they're just so we don't get much of that. So then their interactions with each other actually kind of establish, like they're there to establish how we get to the end where they're all there.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I suppose we should just dive into the plot because I'm sure this makes no sense until we actually discuss the plot.
Okay, real quick though, because I forgot that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
We get a hair edit. Although.
Yes, but this one is an intentional hair edit.
Yes. So now her mousy brown hair. Now her mousy brown hair has red highlights.
Yes.
But it was intentional. So.
Yes, it wasn't just, she went from like jet black pixie cut to like shoulder length mousy brown hair in 2 books.
Yes.
It finally
used to be jet black.
Yeah, it was just Claire caved and let Eve put highlights in her hair. And she was like, I guess I kind of like it. And I'm pretty sure from this point on, the highlights stay.
Okay. I mean, I will say her hair did use. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Her hair did use. God damn, my hand. Okay. I just don't look at it.
Yeah, remember that's what started the whole hair watch thing, because like in the first book it mentions that she has like pixie cut jet black hair, and we were like, since freaking when?
Yeah, like I said, I've always imagined her hair about my length and just mousy brown.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, yeah. So she's getting there.
Yeah.
Also, like, I'm not gonna lie, there are a couple of things in this, right, where, like, okay, when she mentioned that Eve went and bought her laundry and stuff, I'm just like, in some ways, it's like, thank Christ she has a friend like Eve, because Eve just makes her, she's just like, I don't care if you're insecure, you're gonna feel sexy, goddammit. And then in other ways, I'm just like, if I had a friend like that also, I would also just be like, excuse freaking you, can you stay out of my underwear drawer?
Yeah.
Or we cannot be friends. And I don't know which one is the more appropriate feeling.
I don't know either.
Probably a bit of both.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I think it's good for a lot of introverts, like introverty people, to have like a pushy extroverty friend.
Yeah, and gotta hand it to Eve as well. Like, she may be like uber goth, like, but not. I don't know. Like, is she actually even goth technically? Like, when you think about it, like half her wardrobe is hot pink.
You know what though? Like, she's that like kind of punky, skatery, like that 2000, like that nice sweet spot, like Avril Lavigne, like best damn thing kind of like era of goth.
Yeah, like mid 2000s.
Like that mid 2000s, like preppy goth, like with the fishnets and like the plaid hot pink mini skirts and and like the way too many bracelets
She's
and
on mute.
and like the chokers.
Transition scene. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna find.
But anyway,
what I'm talking about.
Okay. But like at least like she doesn't try to put that on the others. She's just like, no, like Claire, like you would look uber hot with like red streaks and like lacy bras. It's fine, And then she buys, like when she goes out and buys Claire clothes and stuff, she buys clothes for Claire that are probably more edgy than Claire would normally wear, but that like they're not in a goth way. It's good.
Eva's fucking hell. Eva's this era of goth. Like, this is the era of goth Eva's.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
It was a good era.
Yeah,
with like the fucking fingerless gloves and shit. Oh god, the nostalgia.
Honestly, 2000s, like I miss the noughties sometimes. They were fun. I mean, I'm glad that the waistline on jeans has gone back up, because when you are hourglass shaped, low rise jeans, not a good choice. Like even medium rise jeans, like you're really pushing it.
It doesn't sit on the hips in a flattering way.
No, and there's no way to sit down in low rise jeans when you are hourglass shaped without exposing the crack to everyone.
Well, and it's not even like a weight thing or anything like that. Like they're just it's a body type thing.
You could be 115 pound, but if you are hourglass shaped, you're gonna be rocking the muffin top and showing the ass crack.
Yeah. It's just it doesn't sit on the hips correctly.
Yeah, like, and again, like a lot of the time as well, mid-rise is also often. Again, it depends on the style of the jeans.
Yeah, but it's still not like a happy.
Okay, I've seen a lot of remember the really shapeless late 80s, early 90s jeans that came up to I've been seeing people wearing them again. I'm like, are they coming back?
God, I hope not.
I really hope not.
But you know what I wish would come back?
What?
Fitted tops.
I just wear fitted tops anyway. I don't care. I'm wearing.
Well, the problem with them not being in style is that they're not available. At least not here. They're so hard to find.
No. You know what you need to do? You need to go to Rose Girl.
What is that?
It's a website.
Okay.
They have a lot of those a lot of the top shapes and everything is mid to late noughties.
Okay.
Where it's boob, very also flattering for boobs, small waist, and then they flare.
Yeah, because the potato sack thing has been in style for about over 10 years now.
And when I say Rose Girl, I don't mean girl, it's gal, but that's really awkward to say in such an accent. So it's Rose Gal. And they're really cheap.
Anyway.
Yes. Anyway. Plot.
Oh, I see. This stuff is cute.
How cute is it all?
It's very cute.
I love it.
All right. Anyway, so real quick, on last time on Morganville Vampires.
Yes, previously on the Morganville Vampires, Ada was a vampire brain in a computer, and she controlled the town's portals and security and made people do forgetty stuff when they left. And then we thought that she was insane because, you know, all the vampires were insane and she was drinking insane vampire blood because she was a vampire computer. But in fact, probably that. But then also she'd gone just, you know, a bit crazy from being a brain in a jar for God knows how long. So she killed herself.
You know, okay, so real quick, the reason why I think she feels so much more important or so much more present than she was, because you're right, she's not around for long.
She's in like 2 books.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's such a big character.
Yeah, and it's
not because of her.
Right. It's because of her effect.
Yeah.
Her effect on the situation.
Really
so
yeah. Yeah, no, and because like we're in book 9 and only now in this book does the Ada arc really truly, like she probably gets referenced, like she gets referenced and remembered and stuff like that, but this is like, you know, Ada's era is over,
right,
properly, because she gets replaced.
Yes.
First by Claire, and it's a mess. It's a fucking mess. So, I guess the basic plot of this, like, we won't worry about like the movie, like the drive-in and stuff, because like none of that's really important to the actual plot. Like Claire and Shane do cute coupley stuff, like they have sex a couple times, you know, like they do couple stuff. They go on a date. She wears lingerie for him. It's a thing. But she has to get the all the Morganville portals and security back online with Merton, and they manage to get the portals going, which is like yay. They get the portals going. And then her and Shane are out on a date, and Eve is at a rave with a friend, and then Eve calls and she's freaking the fuck out. People are there, vampires come, people are getting killed and torn apart left, right, and center, and like, well, shit, we got to go do a rescue. So they go to a rescue. Claire stakes a vampy vamp, and like not thinking much of it, because also like in this, like in Buffy, right? You stake a vamp with a piece of wood, like even a pencil. And as soon as that wood grain touches their heart, they go poof, and they actually like they poof.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like yeah, killing a vampire in Buffy is like you just need a vacuum cleaner, like to handle the cleanup, and it's fine. But in this, you stake him, and if it's a silver stake, yeah, like it'll kill him, but it'll kill him pretty quick, but not immediately. Wood, and it depends on their age. Wood, it can still kill them as well, but again, age is a factor. Like Michael could be like chill there with a stake in him for a bit, and he'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, she stakes a vamp. It's, you know, doesn't think much of it because she's like, oh, well, she's down and out for the count right now. They do a thing. Whoever it is that ends all the shit comes, and they're like, oh, this person is dead. And it was Claire's stake. And she's like, well, fuck. So Claire and a guy who beheaded a vampire, they get brought before the council, which is Emily, Oliver, Richard, and Hannah. And
now I don't remember. Did this council exist before the bishop crazy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was only Mayor Morrell, like Richard's dad, Emily, and Oliver. There was no Hannah, like there was no chief, like police chief. So I'm guessing they've added Hannah. Because, you know, Emily's like, we're going to have them all if they're equal Morganville. So she's like, well, I guess we need equal representation on the council.
Okay.
That or that or they're all like, I mean, I don't know what they do in cases of ties now. Like, honestly, if you're gonna set up a thing where voting is a thing that needs to happen, you need an odd number.
Yeah.
You need an odd number. Like even the Senate, even though it's even numbers, they got the tiebreaker if need be.
Right.
It's fine. Those are obviously that only works for things that need a majority vote. Like just a plain majority, not a super. But anyway, I've been learning so much. Like honestly, I had no idea what a super majority was until like January. Like I knew that they existed, but I had never actually looked into it.
Right. So for those who don't know, for certain, and it's like big things. So big things that would affect like the country in a very, very significant way. So things like convictions on impeachment, constitutional amendments, and other stuff like that. You don't just need a majority; you need a super majority.
Just 3/4, yeah.
I think it's 2/3. Let me look it up. Yeah, 2/3 is a super majority. So, which obviously means that 51 votes, like so a tie-breaking vote in the Senate by the VP is not enough.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a safeguard against those times where we have things basically divided like right down the middle or something like that. Basically, so neither party can make huge, massive, sweeping changes with a single tie-breaking vote.
Well, because also I think as well, like for example, with you know what, we'll use the impeachment thing because it's recent, but also I think it's a much easier example to try and do a thing. So they only needed a simple majority to determine whether or not it could proceed to. It was constitutional to do the trial in the first place, right?
Right.
But then to convict him in a court of law, right, you need all 12 jurors to say guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Obviously, that's not a feasible thing in such a politically charged climate. However, you can't just have a majority, like just a simple majority determine guilt of someone.
Right.
If that makes sense as well. So they needed the, because it's the same like in a jury trial. Like if 11 jurors say hardcore yes, guilty, and the other one says no, not guilty, that ends up being a hung jury.
Right.
Like you need all 12.
Yeah.
You're never going to get all 100 senators to be like yes or no.
Right.
So I guess super majority is like the best middle ground.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually like was like what the like because I've heard super majority so many times. I'm like, what the fuck is a super majority? Yeah, I'm guessing it's more than a majority, but that's all I know.
Yeah, I mean it's not super complicated.
Yeah, but
sorry.
With that, yeah, like with the simple majority things though, like in that, right? Where it's an even number, like you can have even numbers on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone there to break the tie. What happens? Like in some things as well, like I can't think of a specific example, but like if there's an even number of people on a panel or something and you vote to do a thing and it's a tie, then generally the standard is, well, then it doesn't pass. Like whatever motion you're trying to pass, if it's a tie, it doesn't pass. You need like a tie. A tie generally falls on behalf of this, like the status quo instead of the change. But I don't know how it would work on the Morgan Book Council.
Right.
Because I feel like Vampy Vamps, 2 votes, should they vote together, would probably outweigh the 2 people votes.
The one thing that's weird, I know this is kind of well, it's not really off topic. The one thing that's kind of weird about the discourse I've been seeing about the Senate online is that people keep saying that people keep pointing out the Senate doesn't evenly represent the population.
It's not supposed to.
Well, people keep talking about this revelation as though like it's a secret, and they're like, "Oh, it's a secret," and then I found out that the thing, and it's like,
our Senate doesn't either.
It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah,
that's the point of the Senate.
Yeah,
in fact, there was time was that the Senate was not even but like the Senate wasn't, the public didn't vote on their senators.
Yeah, like, well, it's just
yeah.
It's what the kind of the point. It's why we have two houses. We have the one that evenly represents all the states, and then the one that's based on population. That was the Great Compromise. It was like a whole thing. It was like a whole argument. People got really heated about it.
Yeah, like we like obviously because you guys have 50 states, whereas we have far less.
Yeah.
Fuck, how many states do we have? Western, Southern, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. We've got 6. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think Northern Territory might have. Now I don't know if Northern Territory, because they're not actually a state, so they don't get a lot of the stuff that we get. But I feel like they might have senators. Territory. Yes, they do. Okay. I don't know if they have as many. Okay, yeah. So each of our states have 12 senators, and then our 2 main territories, so the Capital Territory and Northern Territory, they have 2 senators. So I don't know why Northern Territory isn't a state.
I didn't know it wasn't.
It's called Northern Territory. It's a territory.
I thought that's what it was called.
Yeah. I now I need to know, why isn't Northern Territory a state? Oh, because it doesn't generate enough tax revenue to support itself.
Oh, well, that's not a requirement here.
Otherwise, there's a particular state that wouldn't be a state.
There are lots of states that wouldn't be a state.
I could think of one in particular.
What, Mississippi?
No.
Oh. I don't know which states don't.
Like in theory, it could though. It could. Like Northern Territory has a population of. Yeah, it's only got like 245,000 people in it. And a lot of them is military personnel. Because there's a big military base up in Darwin. But yeah, like there's like when you look at a map of Australia, right? Northern Territory is pretty big. It's not our biggest state, but it's pretty big. It's got less than half the population of Tasmania, which is, the little island at the bottom. Like you don't want to live there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you couldn't pay me to live there. Because the only place where you can live, there's saltwater crocs everywhere.
Ugh.
And they just glare at you from the ocean. Like people that I know that have temporarily lived up there or visited up there, they went to a pub or something on the water, and you look out over the water at night, and all you can see are literally hundreds of eyes reflecting light back at you.
Well, they're a lot meaner than alligators.
Well, yeah, salties are really aggressive. Freshies are fine. Freshies are pretty chill. You could, I probably still wouldn't, but in theory, you could go and swim in a lake with freshwater crocs.
You can't do that with alligators.
And you would likely be okay.
Nope,
and they're pretty small as well. They're pretty small as well. Whereas salties, right? Yeah, they'll come into your yard and eat your dog and then try to kill you. And for some reason, every time someone's like, "Let's cull the saltwater croc population," everyone's like, no, but we can't. I'm like, but why not?
Yeah, like alligators are
evil.
Alligators are like if you don't go near them, you're fine. Like as long as you like stay a good distance away, they pretty much won't bother you.
Yeah, like I can guarantee, like when you think of a crocodile, you would be picturing in your head a saltwater croc.
Yeah, probably.
They look more like alligators than, I mean, like they still look different to alligators because they're different things, but they look more like alligators, whereas like freshies have like a really narrow snout instead of like the really wide one. They've got like narrow bodies. They're smaller.
Yeah, I do picture. Well, actually, I picture a freshwater crocodile because to me, saltwater crocodiles look too much like alligators.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I personally still wouldn't go swimming with freshies, but generally, if they're chill, if there's nothing there to aggravate them, they're generally they're chill.
Yeah. Anyway, Morganville, because we're not
talking Morganville
as usual.
Yeah, plug, I guess.
Okay, so we kind of talked about last time on Morganville.
We got up to where they're at the council thing, and so the guy that beheaded the vamp, he gets like sentenced to like days of humiliation and like whatnot in a cage before he gets like brutally executed.
Yeah.
Whereas Claire, they're like, well, like Richard and Hannah are like, well, no, it was clearly self-defense. Like, she didn't, because the other guy he instigated the entire events of the evening. He beheaded his own protector, knowing it was his protector. And they were just there to be like, hey, because they did bad stuff. And like the protector was coming to be like, hey, look, you did a bad, like, let's go to do a thing. And he's like, no, and beheaded his, it was cold-blooded murder, effectively.
Right.
Whereas Claire's was, people are about to die. So and including me. So if I need to do a thing. And Richard and Hannah are like, well, it's fine. It's legal. Claire can go. Whereas Emily's like, well, no. I control mon frère. I need Claire to do stuff, and it needs to get done yesterday. So she's going to do the punishment, or she's going to, it's not going to be good. So Claire's mission is to work on fixing the machines and getting the borders back up in Morganville, which is like the mind control stuff and all that.
Right, because we found out, forget which book it was, we found out that it's kind of magic-y. So like this book kind of combines like magic and science-y stuff. So the borders are run by like a magic alchemy machine.
Yeah, these books are like heavily alchemical, which is, I guess, alchemy, like what they wanted alchemy to be, I guess, is kind of halfway between magic and science. So it kind of works out well.
I mean, it kind of depends on how you look at it. Like, I think because alchemy didn't really work.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could kind of look at fusion almost as fusion and fission as like modern alchemy, because alchemy was like combining things to make gold, which in theory is how like the reason why we even have heavier elements is because supernovas did a thing, fusion stuff, even crazier space dust. So like, it's not that alchemy doesn't exist.
Technically, it's just the alchemy as it was wanted to work. It would have to be like halfway between the two, which I guess also is why a lot of alchemists, like like if like there's going to be a story involving in it, like a fictional story involving an alchemist, he's generally a wizard.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got really weird. A wizard. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, because like it was really what they were trying to do is transform other metals into gold, which theoretically, if you were able to fuse with fission or fusion the right things, like that is how we get gold. It's just we can't do it.
Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, I just realized as well, like just before we went live, I forgot to eat dinner. It sounds funny, so I'm just snacking. Yeah, so Claire has to get it all working. And from when she starts, she gets 0 breaks. She doesn't get to sit. She gets to eat and drink. And they later concede, use the facilities. But no sitting, no sleeping, no breaking, nothing. She just has to do a thing. So she gets sent to Men, and Men is like, well, you're no good to anyone when you're this tired. Go have a snooze-a-doodle, and then we'll start in the morning. So then she does it, and she manages. I will say, like listening to the this scene, we've commented on it before as well, where like one thing that Rachel Kane does well is like she gives you just enough that you get a bit of an idea of what's happening, but obviously like she's not going to go into like advanced physics like in a YA novel.
Yeah.
But she walks a very fine line of being like, just giving you just enough that you have a general idea of what might be happening, and then just alluding to the rest. Like in this, like Claire's like looking at this machine and she's like, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it. And then she gets it, and like, and everything became so much clearer to her, and she knew exactly how it was going to work and this and that, but she doesn't try and explain how it works.
And here's so writing advice from book club with Faye. When it comes to world building like this, and somebody once asked me a question about writing, and this was my answer, because they were like, I'm really concerned that like it's not believable or something like that. And this is like to take anime as an example, because anime really takes crazy ideas and runs with it. And people love it. But one thing, and this is a great example, because Western media doesn't do this, but if you look at anime, they do, and in a lot of cases they do it very well, because they're like, here's what's happening, and this is just happening, and go fuck yourself, and that's it. And so
like in Pokemon, for example, we just have to learn on the job what the fuck a Pokemon is. There's no explanation as this is a Pokemon, this is a thing. Like, as we discover new Pokemon, we learn what they can and can't. Like, their types, what they can do. The Pokedex is there to be like, well, this specific one does a thing. But like, no one ever comments like, don't you think it's weird that, we have a water spouting turtle that we just like forced to battle with like a dragon lizard that just, and then one day they glow and like double in size instantly.
Right, because for that universe, that's just reality. That's just how it is. So they don't question it, so you don't question it. And that's what I said to this person. I was like, the way that you handle these kinds of things is up to you. So whether or not something is weird is your prerogative. And I think in some cases the worst thing you can do is over explain.
Yeah, like I mean, like in Star Wars, like we won't go into the books. We're just going to talk strictly movies here, okay? We don't go into how, like, what are the humans' original home planet? Like in the Star Wars universe, like,
well, in
where did they come from?
Movies.
Yeah. We're just talking strictly movies.
Yeah.
Because books obviously also have the luxury of being able to explain a lot more.
Yeah.
Because, but like in the movies, they don't touch on where did the humans come from, like what planet, how did they spread, was there a thing, like were there issues, because also humans tend to be like the head of a lot of power, like for example, the emperor was human and that was the thing. Did they organize all the aliens, or did they join a coalition, or what have you? Don't go into that. No one really, unless like you're actually like looking, like you may, I don't know, maybe one night you're sitting there stoned and you're like, where did the humans come from? Like, but like while you're watching the movies, you don't think about it, you don't question it. Like, this is probably the first time I thought about it ever.
Yeah.
And you don't need to. It's just like, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
There's droids, there's alien life forms, there's humans, and they all just chill and fly around. Well, they don't chill, but they fly around and shoot pew-pews at each other. It's fine.
Yeah, and the thing is, when it comes to like magic or even like technology or whatever, and if you think about the real world, when if we're on a computer, we're streaming over the internet. I don't give a shit how it works. I'm not an engineer, not my problem. You hand me an iPhone.
Not gonna lie, I have sat and like tried to work out how the fuck like without ever actually looking into it. I'm sure if I looked into it, I would understand it. But there have been times, usually if I'm like driving or in the shower, like when your brain's just allowed to wander. Like, and then I'm just like, how does Wi-Fi actually work?
Right?
I'm like, I don't know.
Someone knows, which is crazy. But the thing is, like, if you're writing a book, and this is obvious, I think, and this is so obvious, when you're writing a book and someone uses a computer, you're not compelled to explain the intricacies of how a computer operates or the intricacies of what a phone is. And you can apply that same thing to the other functionalities of the universe. Like, if you're not compelled to explain what a toilet is, unless there's a reason for it, unless it's like maybe like indoor plumbing was just invented and maybe somebody might marvel at the idea that they have a toilet now. I don't know. But like Claire is just finding out about these things. So she might be like, but like, we don't need the inner workings of advanced physics necessarily. But
all we need to know is that Claire gets it.
Right.
Like, she didn't get it, and then something, and I know that feeling though. I know that feeling where, like, you're going through the motions, you know that these are the steps you need to take, but you don't get why.
Mm-hmm.
And then it clicks. Sometimes way later than it should.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I feel really stupid now.
Yeah.
But it's such a good feeling though when it first clicks and you're like, oh, I can get it now. And Claire has that moment, and all we get told though is she's had the moment.
Right.
And she's like, I know what to do now. And then and the most insight we get, for the fixes Claire makes and stuff, because they're trying to work out why this machine won't work, is Merlin forgot to put a wire in a place.
Yeah.
And that fixes it. So we think. Because chaos soon ensues. So then she manages to fix it. She's like, I think after working for like 2 or 3 days straight.
Yeah.
3 days or 2.5 days. She passes out, obviously, because, she's fucking exhausted. And she probably sleeps for like a day because, again, exhausted. And then she wakes up and they're like,
give me 1 second. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be able to hear you.
Okay. So effectively, with how the machine, because they're having to change it, so they have to tie it to a living vamp's brain, and Mernan's like, oh, I'm the perfect choice. Insane Merlin is the perfect choice to be in charge of the town security. So
I'm sure nothing could possibly go fucking wrong.
Oh, no. What would possibly go wrong?
At this point in the book, I was like, oh, no.
I mean, I think probably anyone who, like, I can imagine, like, Rachel Kane writing that scene is probably just like, what am I doing?
You know,
This is a bad idea. But Rachel, if you don't do it, that won't be a plot.
So this kind of reminds me of moments that Addie, or even I have on my own, but mostly it's kind of funny because like when you have a best friend, you know, you always have those ideas of like, haha, what if we did this? And you have more of those when you have a friend you're writing with rather than when you're by yourself. But it reminds me of like these moments of in Blackwoods when we're writing and we go, haha, wouldn't it be funny if? And then we're like, what if we fucking did? And I imagine it was one of those, like she was like, I need a vamp to power this, and then she was like, wouldn't it be hilarious if it was fucking Mernon? And then she was like,
I think probably how it would have worked is she was like, I want everyone to go crazy and forget what's going on.
Yeah.
And then she'd be like, wouldn't it be funny if Mernon tied his brain into like a machine?
Yeah.
That's a bad idea, but it'll work. But it's a bad idea.
Hey,
but it'll be funny. Is he awake?
No, he just scooted closer to me.
Oh, well, I so want a puppy. I can't have a dog yet.
I'm so glad.
And it's hard. Like I'm in a really awkward situation because I'm just like, yeah, I love my cat. She's a good girl. She'd be a better girl if she liked other animals, but you know, she is how she is. But I really want a dog. And now I'm just like, and I'm sitting here, I'm just like, I really want a dog, but I can't get a dog until she dies. And I don't want her to die, but I really want a dog. So I'm like, half of me is like, you know, but I don't, but I do, but I don't, like, I definitely don't. But it's not going to be the worst thing when it does happen. Like, it's hard.
No, I get it.
Well, because also, like, you know, especially with the kids now, it's all like, I mean, I would never ever consider getting rid of her just so we can get the kids a dog, but the kids so need a dog.
Yeah.
They so need a dog. Because they just want to, like, and poor thing, like, they just want to, like, because they play with their great grandmother's dogs all the time and their pop's dogs, or dog, rather. And they love it. And then they want to go and play with Millie. And I'm like, but she's a cat. You got to leave her alone because she's a grumpy little cat. And they're just like, Bobby, what if? I'm like, but you can't.
But cats are not dogs.
Yeah. And I'm like, but like,
I felt so guilty about because like Jinx is not an apartment dog, and I felt really guilty about wanting a dog that could live in an apartment. Because Jinx is my baby and I love him dearly. And when we move into a house, we want to take Jinx with us because he's my dog.
Yeah.
So I felt bad.
Let him go?
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt bad about wanting a dog though. Now I feel less bad, but still felt really bad about it. Well, yeah, and also like he's very, very different temperamentally from Jinx and everything, and we're gonna introduce him to Jinx, and you know, all things going well, it won't be a problem. Like lots of people have 2 dogs; it'll be fine.
Lots of people have more than 2 dogs.
Yeah, I'm allowed to love more than 1 dog.
Mm-hmm. I just want a Great Dane. That's all I want. A Great Dane.
Yeah.
They're so big, but they think they're lap dogs, and it's hilarious. Jinx is like, that's not hilarious. That's annoying. I'm like,
no.
But they're.
I would love a giant dog.
Biggest selling point for Great Danes with him is their short lifespan.
It's sad.
I don't know how it happened. He doesn't like animals, and I don't get it. He's actually dreading the day. No, I mean, I'm going to be really sad the day she dies, right? For a while. I'll be sad about her loss. He is dreading it because then he's not going to have any reason to say no to a dog anymore.
Yeah.
She's
I
the
really want
only
a
thing that is
Cane
stopping
Corso.
coming into the house.
I really want a Cane Corso. Ow.
I want a Great Dane and a macaw. Honestly, I just want all of the big things. I want a macaw. I want a Great Dane. If I was to have a horse, I would want a Shire. I want a Flemish giant rabbit. I don't know. There's all the big ones are like the sweetest ones and the more affectionate ones and the ones that love you more. And that's what I want. I want like the one that's gonna love me more.
Like, I would love to have a small dog, but I don't really like small. Like, I don't love small dogs, like how they look, and because they look the most unhealthy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean,
book.
Yes, book. So Claire goes home, and they're like, Claire. Oh wait, sorry, it's just Shane, and then they do Claire and Shane. No, she just passes out. That's right. They wanted to do Claire Shaney stuff, but she's like, I'm tired, so she passes out, and they sleep, and she smells, and he tells her so next morning, and then it's fine, and then normal life stuff happens for a bit. And Claire just starts noticing, like, I think Claire was in the bathroom. Michael knocks on the door and he's like, Mom, is that you? Type thing. And she's like, well, that's not good.
Yeah, the normal life stuff, though, before that, like, you kind of have this feeling of dread because obviously Myrna's crazy, but it's one of those,
and then being like these little snippets of weird amongst the normal life stuff, which adds to it.
Yeah, but it is also one of those things where it's like, oh, this is the last time it's going to be normal before there's like this life-changing event.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It feels like the calm before the storm, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then, like, Claire and Shane run into this woman who is like looking for her mother's office, and they're like, and Claire's just like, I don't recognize that business name. And then someone walks out and they're like, can I help you? Because like they all looked confused. It wasn't a like, get off my lawn, can I help you? It was like, can I help you? Like, he was all confused. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm looking for my mom. And he's like, your mom died a year ago.
Yeah.
And she like remembers and she's like, holy crap. And then she freaks out and leaves. And Claire and Shane are just like, well, that was weird. And so yeah, stuff like that happens, and then like a vamp goes nuts in the middle of like a diner and like tries to kill people, and you know, it's a thing. And Claire starts to get the inkling, like, I think something sus is going on with the machine. And so she talks to Myrna, and Myrna's like, don't be ridiculous. How could something be going wrong with the machine that is linked to my brain? You know, the brain that even when I'm not vampire is crazy is still normal batshit crazy. Like, it's heavily bipolar amongst God knows what else.
Yeah.
I feel like he's probably somewhat schizophrenic.
Maybe.
He's probably schizoaffective. Like, I believe schizoaffective is schizophrenic and bipolar. So it's a common enough combination that it has its own name.
I don't believe we ever get an official diagnosis of Myrna.
No, Rachel Kane has confirmed he is bipolar.
Okay.
But she hasn't said that he's only bipolar, which he's not, because although I will say though, because like I have I'm mildly bipolar, but then if it can get exacerbated by life stuff, like for example, when you haven't had longer than 2 hours sleep in a row and like no more than like 5 hours sleep average a night for like 2.5 years straight, that exacerbates it. And even at that, I was nowhere near like bad as far as bipolar goes. Like, I wasn't anywhere near as bad as it can get. And Mania, I will say, I genuinely could feel myself going crazy because my brain just wouldn't stop. And it was like kind of like overloading. So maybe he is just bipolar, but he's just so severely bipolar that the mania is just,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's just massively bipolar.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mania sucks, though, is the point. But yeah, like when it's just like that, anything tied to my brain would be working perfectly, Claire. Whatever do you mean? And she's like, well, fuck, fine, I guess. So then she goes to talk to Oliver and to Emily. Hannah is confused. We find out that Hannah has a lover, and he guesses on who her lover is. Because I don't think we find out in this book, do we?
I don't actually.
There's a hint of it in this book.
Yeah, I caught that there were. Yeah, I do, because I caught that there were hints of it, but I have not pieced it together.
Yes, well, she flat out says she's got a lover, but yeah, it turns out her and Richard are doing the bangy bang. Yeah. Remember they were holding hands during the Oliver Emily scene.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And Claire's like, why are they holding hands? Yeah.
I forgot about that. See, I miss shit like that.
Oh, you can't miss shit like that, babe. It's important.
But I do. I miss shit like that.
But it's important.
I know. I'm bad.
But yeah, like Hannah, it comes and goes. I don't know if I can't remember when exactly, but at some point Claire goes to talk to Emily, and her and Oliver are like, and you know, like, and Oliver's like, I'm pissed because I had to kill someone last night. I'm not happy. And Emily's like, well, and she's like, and she tries to do a overpower thing, and Oliver's like, no, bitch, and then he manages to like, and he's now the boss of Morganville.
Yep.
And Claire's like, well, fuck. Oliver, I think there's a thing wrong with the machine. He's like, well, turn it off, peasant. And she's like, done. And she's like, and runs. But it's cute because we find out that Sandra's not dead.
Yeah.
In one book, she gets referred to as a vet, and I don't like it. But Sandra's not dead. And he summons her and a couple other people. And Sandra's like, well, I'm going to be your second. And Oliver's like, excuse you, no, Emily's going to be my second. Just because I don't think she's the best thing to lead this town doesn't mean that, you know, I'm not in love with her.
Still.
Please tell me you picked up on that.
Well, you told me about it, so yes, I did.
It's especially when you remember as well, like that Emily looks probably at oldest 18, 19.
And I imagine Oliver looking like
Oliver
40.
Well, he's Oliver Cromwell, right? How old was Oliver Cromwell when he died? Because I think Oliver's meant to be like mid-50s looking. Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah, I imagine Oliver Cromwell looking like Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah, he was 59. So he's a day to a year, somewhere in that range, shy of 60. He's in the mid to later end of middle age. I don't actually know what range middle age falls under, but he's almost 60. So it definitely looks like a father-daughter, not a pair. Because, yeah, and an older father at that. Because she looks 19-ish.
Yeah.
And he's 60 in appearance. So he's 40 years older than her, like, basically. And it's Yeah, no. But he's not attractive. Like, have you seen what Oliver Cromwell looks like?
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Yeah, like his I kind of wish that I didn't know what he looked like still. I can't picture Oliver looking like this dude. I will say, I can't picture it.
That's not what I picture either.
How I honestly, I think I might have told you this when you were here. I'm not sure, but up in Katoomba, which is like the top of the mountains, there is a cafe. It's not, I can't remember what it's called now, but there was a cafe. Oh, the cafe that's still there, what used to be called Common Ground.
Mm.
And the guy that owned it, hippie, gray hair, tied back in a ponytail, wearing tie-dye.
Yeah.
And Amy and I were up there one day and we're like, what the fuck? We're in Morganville. What the fuck? Like this was like, you know, like we chose to go there because we're like lol, because you know, like we both loved Morganville. So like we're like, let's go eat there. And then this guy comes to Emma and we're talking to him and he told us he was the owner, and we're like, but you're fucking Oliver. And we're like, what's your name? It wasn't Oliver. I can't remember what it was, but I'm gonna die. Turns out like it was owned by a cult. Still is. They changed the name though because they got some bad press. But yeah, it's a culty place. But they had really good bread. Really good bread. Say what you want about cults, but they make good bread, okay? But yeah, we met Culty Oliver. It was just weird because it was a cafe named Common Ground. The owner was a hippie, and ever since I met that guy, that's how I picture Oliver.
I've always pictured Oliver as like, you know, tied back ponytail. I don't know why I picture him in like Hawaiian shirts, and like I picture him with like kind of like a weird bald spot a little bit, and
like sitting,
yeah,
and a receding hairline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and like not ugly really.
Just not attractive either, but just average, I guess.
Yeah. And because of like the stuff that he does, I picture him physically as like kind of like somebody who's like 50 and who looks like he's physically capable of doing like all the stuff that he does.
Yeah, like quite broad.
Yeah.
Picture him quite broad, quite thick, but not muscle. Like, you know how like you can have guys that are like they're fit, but they don't have defined muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I picture him like more like that, where it's like, you know, if he ate like just 2 burgers too many, he would look fat, but he's not actually, but he's got almost no fat on him. It's just there.
Yeah.
Because he's almost soft, but very broad and thick.
I think I imagine him a bit slimmer than you do, but like.
Oh, I'm not thinking like, you know, like thighs, like, you know, tree trunks. I'm just thinking, what's the, like kind of like a wider rib cage, like a wider waist. Yeah. And kind of probably shorter proportions. That's probably half of it as well. Some slightly shorter proportions as opposed to the longer, lanky ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just pictured him like as a relatively kind of fit, weird looking old dude.
Yeah.
And Emily's gorgeous, and it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I don't picture him as Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah, neither do I.
Like, I know he is. Because we get more hints about Emily. He mentioned, you know, you were a princess. Your biggest regret was that you didn't get to be a queen. You almost became a queen at the age of 12, but it didn't happen. These are the hints that I've like tried looking. I can't find anything about a French woman named Emily who was a princess who almost became a queen at age 12.
I don't know.
But this is also the one where we get absolute confirmation that Ada is Ada Lovelace.
Yeah.
And it's like her father, Lord Byron, the original Gothic crowd. Well, who was Ada Lovelace's father, Lord Byron. So yeah, no, we got definite confirmation that. I suspected because I'm like, it's too much of a coincidence that the computer chick is named Ada if it's not Ada Lovelace.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, Emily. Maybe we should just message her and be like,
"Who is Emily?
Who's Emily? Tell us, please." And is Mernon a person as well? I don't know if Mernon's actually a person.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, his name is closest to Merlin, but that feels obvious.
Yeah, we also get a couple other, like, this is we get a former Queen of England, France, and Ireland in the series later on. By the way, as well. We actually have a queen as a vampire later in the series.
Are
you looking for an Emily?
Yeah, nothing.
If it's the one whose husband did a naughty and she was like, that's not her.
Yeah, I know. Because she actually became a queen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I got no friggin' idea. Sorry. But then, yeah, so all of the charge, they go to her, Shane, and Michael. I can't remember if Eve goes or not, but they go and try and turn the machine off. And then it's like, well, haha, I changed the passcode and now I'm going to eat you because who are you? Or what are you doing in my place? And I'm crazy. And Mernon doesn't remember shit either. And he's like, where is Ada? Where is Ada? And they're like, Ada's dead, Mernon. And he's like, no, she's not. You took her. And then they managed to escape. And they're like, well, fuck, that's not good.
Yeah.
So then they all go to bed and then they wake up. Eve's gone. Claire sees Michael and he's like, who the fuck are you? And what are you doing in my house? Where are my parents? And she's like, trying to explain to him. He's like, get out. So then she goes outside. He tries to follow her and she's like, no, wait. He starts to burn up in the sun. He's like, what the fuck did you do to me? And she's like, you're a vampy vamp. And he's like, no, I'm not. And then Shane comes down and he's like, Michael, you're a vamp. And he's like, no, I'm not. And then Michael has a breakdown and they take him away because he's badly burnt by the sun.
Yeah.
Claire goes to try and find Eve. She can't find her. She calls Eve's mother's house and Eve's there, and because Eve's lost her memory. So we find out as well. They all think they're about, I think it's 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've all gone. Their memories have all gone back. Like the last 3 years worth of memories are erased. They also bump into Monica, and Monica's like trying to like. This is before everyone like Eve and Michael lost their memories. Monica is like massively hitting on Shane. We get to witness that in the last book as well.
Yeah.
Like the anthology book. We get to see teenage Monica Morel as a teenager. Yeah, Monica was Shane's stalker in high school. Which explains why she hates him so much now.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, so Claire and Shane are like, well, tomorrow we'll go and do a thing. And I'm like, that's a bad idea because people seem to be losing their memory when they wake up. Yeah. And lo and behold, what happens when they wake up? Shane doesn't remember Claire. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm so sorry. You seem like a nice girl. Claire bursts into tears. And she's like, but I love you. And he's like, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I'm leaving.
It's really sad.
And then Claire follows him because she's like, I know where Shane's going to be going, and this isn't good.
Right.
And Shane goes back to his house, which isn't a house anymore. It's an overgrown lot.
Right.
And he's like, and he's like, what are you doing? Like, he starts yelling at Claire, and Claire's like, it's gone. He's like, it must have burnt down last night. And she's like, look at it. It's been abandoned for years. He's like, where's my sister? And she's like, I'll take you to her. And then she takes him to Ellis's gravestone, and he has a hard time. And she's like, I'm sorry. And then he's starting to pick up, like, he grieves a bit, and then he's like starting to like pick up though on the way Claire interacts with him. And she's like, and he's like, are we together? God, because by this point as well, she's like finally worked out to just say, you've got amnesia.
Yeah.
Which doesn't, like, it's about time someone said the A word.
Yeah.
Like, people probably be a lot more accepting of the situation.
Yeah.
If, you know. I think so. It might have been before Shane lost his memory. I can't remember. They run into Hannah, and she's like, yes, it was before Shane lost his memory. They go to, like, they try to get Hannah to let them in to go see Emily, to be like, Mernon's not letting us shut the machine down. And Hannah's like, bless Hannah, like, she's a soldier through and through, because she's like, no, I swear, I was in Afghanistan last night. Now I'm in Morganville. I'm wearing a police uniform, and it doesn't make sense. And they're like, Hannah, you got some PTSD shit going on or something. I don't know. But all I need you to do is do a radio. And she's like, okay, I'll do a radio. And then the radio worked. And she was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And they're like, yeah, go home, stay safe. She's like, okay, I guess I will. Like, good soldier. Do what you're told. And Emily has forgotten that Oliver became Lord of Morganville. And she's like, but I am Lord of Morganville. And what are you doing here, Oliver? And then she does and she wins this time. So now she's boss again. And Oliver's
that didn't last too long.
Yeah, but Oliver still remembers everything though. And so, like, at this point in time, with Emily forgetting shit and Oliver remembering shit, probably want Oliver in charge because he knows shit's wrong. Whereas Emily's just like, shit's confusing.
Yeah.
But it all works out. And and so Oliver's like, we should do a teamy team, but like not too close to teamy team in case I forget, and that won't be good for you, Claire. And she's like, okay. He's like, you got to do a thing. And she's like, okay. I think Oliver goes to try and talk to Emily or something. I don't know. He goes. And then, then Shane loses his memory. I don't mean to do ship names instead of boy names. It just happens.
You okay?
I don't know. Like, my throat just did a pop sound. Like, it just popped. And now the top of my throat just, I don't know what happened there.
I'm sorry.
Shane worked out that, like, something's going on with him and Clarence. She's like, yeah, we're together. And he's like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I can't just pretend like I'm your boyfriend. And Claire's like, I know. He's like, but you seem nice. So then they go back to Mom. She's like, oh, your dad's a vampire. And he's like, fuck my dad. And then Frank's like, well. And they're like, oh, Frank, I thought you suicided 2 books ago. I guess you didn't. So he's there, and he's like, we're going to do a thing. So then he goes and gets his biker bit buddies, and they're like, we're going to do a thing. But then even Michael rock up. And she's, like, supporting Michael through the door while he's, like, covered in a blanket, but he still doesn't believe he's a vampire, even though he just drank blood to feel better and can't go in the sun. Still doesn't believe he's a vampire. And Eve still doesn't think that Michael even knows her name, even though she's walking him through his front door. So there's plot holes on the Eve bit.
Yeah. It's a bit.
But part of it as well, though, is like Eve's also currently 15, 16. So maybe, like, just like teenage girl being moron. But the, like, Claire and Shane are like, look, there's a thing. And Eve and Michael are like, okay. And I don't know who says what, but somehow like Eve and Michael find out that they're actually a couple or something. And so then they just start making out at the house, and Claire's like, we're busy. So they make a plan to go and do a machine.
Yeah.
Like turn it off. So then they go to do a thing, and then Claire's job is to push the bookshelf to open the portal so Frank and the Vamps can get there. I don't know why they don't just come with them. I think
why they don't what? Sorry.
I don't know why Frank and his buds just didn't like walk through the front door with Claire and Eve and Shane and Michael.
I don't either. That's a good point.
I think they'd like say why in the book, and I just can't. I think it's like just like because you won't expect it. It'll be a surprise, I guess.
Yeah,
because they got to get past it. I don't know, but Claire. Just before they go. No, I think it happens after this. Mernon takes Claire hostage just after, door gets opened and almost everyone gets killed except like Frank and one other person, and the core group. And then chaos ensues. They manage to they get caught in the in the weird black tunnel room, and then they get through. They get to the machine, and Mernon's like, "No!" And they're like, "Yes!" And then there's more fighting. And they're trying to do a thing, but Mernon's made the machine effectively tamper-proof. And then Emily rocks up.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, this ain't good." And Mernon's like, "No, things should do a thing." Why doesn't Emily how did it get from Emily being there to explosion again?
I don't remember because I just remember she's there and then explosion.
Yeah, can you've got the book open, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, can you?
Explosion. Nope.
Because
hot.
Nope. Because I know that particular things happened before the explosion. I just can't remember why Emily didn't stop.
I can't search the book.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Great.
Maybe if we both look at the same time, we'll get to it quicker.
Do you know what chapter this happens in?
No, I just know it's towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my EPUBs. I've just got the PDFs now and they suck. And honestly, the spacing of these are just awful. Okay. So yeah, Emily walks in, Oliver's in chains, but then Claire realizes that Emily knows, she remembers.
Mm-hmm.
But where is... Okay, I'm at just after, just before the thing. Yeah, so they're trying to convince Mernon that Ada's gone.
Okay, no.
Where the hell is Emily, though? Where's Emily walking in here? Where the fuck is she?
Is this after the Frank thing or before?
I'm trying... okay, so... Okay. There we go. So this was before they went into the tunnel, the black room tunnel.
Okay.
Emily and Oliver walk in, and Oliver's chained up, but then she's like, "Surprise! I actually remember, and this was all a show." And they're trying to convince Mernon, that it's time to, it's time to give it up. Ada's gone. and to turn the machine off, and Mernon like loses his shit, and he yeets effectively, I believe.
Yeah.
And Emily and Oliver are like, well, we better go after him. So then they do. But I can't remember why they didn't stop the other stuff from happening. Yeah, so they're all holding hands going through the black room. Wes does a dead. Where are Emily and Oliver? I don't know. I don't know where they are. I don't know why they're not stopping it. Maybe they just can't. Maybe they're just standing there watching. I don't know. But Mernon's like, no, I can't let Ada go. And he's telling Frank, like, just let me do my thing. And, like, I can give you your family back, like I'll find a woman and she can be your wife, and you and Shane will believe that she's, your late wife, and Claire here, she can be your daughter. And Frank's just like, that's sick. My son's in love with her. Oh, because also by this point as well, like, Shane has said to, like, Claire, like, hey, like, you and me, like, we're like for real together, hey? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay. And then he gives her a nice big, like, make-out session. And she's like, oh, well, I love you. And he's like, I can't say that back to you, right? Like, I just met you.
But which also makes it kind of weird. Like, the make-out session is weird, honestly.
I think because, like, there's part of him that there's this part of him that remembers. Like, how, like, a lot of them can feel that something's wrong. I think there's a part of him that can remember how he feels, just not consciously.
Yeah, it still felt a bit.
Yeah.
A bit,
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to justify it. Leave me alone. And Shane's like, that's freaking sick. And she's like, no. And I think they knock Mernon unconscious or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. They get Mernon out of the way. But like Frank, there's a big fight. And Frank gets pinned. He's trapped. And he's yelling at everyone that they need to like get out of there. And he's like, Shane, I need your help. And he's like, I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry. And he's like, it's okay, Dad. And then like Shane pulls like a pin out of a grenade, and Claire's like, well, fuck. Because also like Claire's like halfway through, like, because he's also been trying to wipe Claire's memory, and so she's trying to fight it at this point. Because he's trying to erase Claire's memory so he can remake her as Alyssa, which is like, again, creepy.
Yeah.
And Claire takes the grenade and she's like, well, this shit ain't good. And she like runs, and then she looks, and like then just before like shit goes to hell, she remembers exactly who Frank is, and then he's like, goodbye, and then boom, and the machine gets blown up. They're all like post explosion, like safe, like far enough away to be safe from the explosion, but not like the sounds and so like the ears, ringing ears, all that crap. And they're like, well, this ain't good. And Mernon's like, I'm so sorry. I just didn't want to let Ada go. And Emily's like, you're fired. Claire busting in now.
Yeah.
and they're like, okay. So then the core group go home to like recover, and then like Claire gets woken up in the middle of the night by Mernon, like calling. He's like, come see me. And she's like, but why? He's like, because it's important and it's secret. She's like, okay. So then she portals there, and then she gets through the portal, and she's like, the portal shouldn't be working because the machine got exploded. And then Mernon's like, I know, but you can't tell Shane. And she's like, tell Shane what? And then we hear Frank, and he's like, don't tell Shane, I'm a brain in a jar running Morganville now. And then the book ends.
Yep.
Okay, he didn't exposition that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Frank is now a brain in a jar, controlling Morganville.
Frank becomes like, I know Frank becomes like a whole thing.
Honestly, computer Frank is best Frank. I will say, be prepared for Computer Frank because he's fun.
The fact that okay. This is why I was like, I don't know how to feel because like because I don't like him.
No, we don't like Frank, but we can enjoy Frank.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I don't know what to think about this.
Look, Frank is not a good person, although he does do some good things. He does the right thing more. But next book, we're going to get some like vampy brain law, like vampy brain computer law.
Here's
like,
kind
I'm
of
going to tell you a secret.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
So you know how like he's a computer, so therefore like he can see websites and stuff because he's a computer. As long as he's got internet connection, he can do the webs, unless the page is encrypted.
Mm-hmm.
He can't see it if the page is encrypted, and it's funny. It's a plot point next book. He's just like, I just see nothing. There's nothing there.
The problem, or not the problem, the thing about Frank is like, you get where he's coming from. You know?
Yeah, but he's also, I mean, I can see how he winded up being a deadbeat alcoholic. Like, like there's every, like, I dare say Morganville has a higher alcoholic per capita rate than the average.
What makes you say that? I can't imagine why.
But also though, I can also say though that Frank, you got 2 kids, you should have done better.
Yeah.
But also I get it. Like it's hard. Like it's hard to like. I don't want to empathize with Frank. Like there's things about Frank as well, right? Like, but every time you try, like, because my brain just went there. Like every time I'm like just try to like be like, but like his daughter died and his wife died, and he thinks Sam's killed her and stuff. He still beat the crap out of his son when he came to town in the second book.
Yeah.
Because Shane's like, can your biker buddies not rape my girlfriend? And he's like, excuse you, and beat the crap out of him. So it's confusing. Yeah. Okay, that's not why he beat Shane up. Shane wasn't on board with the killing of his best friend. That's why Shane got beat up. But Frank wasn't really. Frank has gotten a lot more protective over Claire, though.
Yeah, but
he's
still
quite protective of Claire now. Look, you can tell like he does things that are you're like, okay, but he's not evil. Like he's not an evil person. Because like, if he was evil, he wouldn't care about Claire or Shane or anything. He does. He cares a lot about Shane and what Shane thinks of him, but he's just not good at behaving like a decent human being.
No, he's
an
not,
abusive dick.
He's not a good person.
No, he's just the best we can say about him is he's not an evil person.
And you also get why he doesn't like. I mean, because like not liking vampires is reasonable.
Yes. That said, though, like he doesn't take any, like like Claire, Eve, Shane. They're all like, I guess also Michael. Michael a lot of the time, even though he is a vamp now, a lot of the series he's like, look, most vamps are dicks. But like the other 3, right? Like Claire's probably the most outreach giving, but Shane, he liked Sam. He was like, Sam's a good egg. I know he's a vampire, but he's a good egg.
Yeah.
Frank doesn't make any such distinctions.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh look, there's my son's best friend. I suspect he's a vamp. Let's stake him. They don't even ask because Michael wasn't a vampire at that stage. He was a ghost.
Yep, Michael was not a vampire.
Thank goodness, otherwise he'd be dead.
Yep.
Thank goodness he was a ghost. Yeah, he just killed his son's best friend because he suspected he was a vampire incorrectly.
Yep.
He wasn't fully human, I guess.
But he wasn't a vampire. And like Frank didn't give a shit.
No. Like imagine if Michael was just like, fine. He
But
just didn't
also
want to go
imagine if he wasn't a ghost and he was just a person.
Yeah, like what if it was just a person, right, that just decided he didn't want to leave the house for the last year? Like what if he developed agoraphobia?
Yeah.
And that's why no one had seen him outside the house in a year? Because I'm assuming that's why.
Because that just means like Frank is agoraphobic. Which rude.
Allow people to be hermits, Frank. It's fine. Well, it's not fine, but it's not killable offense.
It's none of your business, Frank.
We don't brutally murder agoraphobes.
We don't brutally murder the mentally ill, okay?
It's fine.
It's not polite. Life advice from Book Club with Bay. It's not polite to brutally murder the mentally ill.
Like, do you reckon that, because I know it's rare, but some people have sun allergies. Do you reckon Frank would just be like, if you have a sun allergy, you must be a vampire and kill them?
Probably. Seems like his style.
It's rude. But now he's computer Frank, so he can't kill anyone.
Yeah, he can't. He can't do that.
But
the world is safe from Frank.
From memory, he gets sassy.
Well, that's kind of nice, though.
And him and Merlin don't get along, as one could imagine. That biker Frank and crazy Merlin won't be friends. But yeah, next book is another standalone book, but with multiple callbacks.
Okay.
We get callbacks to multiple books.
That's fun.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. That's what it is. I'm curious to see what you think of this one, because I think this one is one that I had a hard time with.
Okay.
It could be, there's multiple reasons. One of them is, I'm going to pre-warn you before we read it. We get, this is the first different, because it's third person, right? But Claire focused third person.
Mm-hmm.
This one has a different POV mixed in with it.
Okay.
But the other POV is first person.
Weird.
And throughout, I don't know if it's every book after this one or just, I can't remember when it actually properly starts, but we start to get other POVs in later books. And I feel like I suspect that they might all be third person POVs, and this one might be the only one where it's first person.
Yeah, that's odd though.
It makes sense with how it is, but it's a bit jarring at first. That's why I wanted to prepare you.
Okay.
There's a reason why she does first person though.
Okay.
You'll know, you'll get it as we do it.
Yeah, I'm glad I have a warning though.
Yeah. No, it takes a minute to. Do you want to know who the POV is?
Yes. It's
Shane.
Okay.
So it's funny because Cynthia Holloway does his entire POVs.
Oh, no. Oh God. That's funny.
So that's the main reason why I wanted to tell you, so I could say that. She does his whole, it's not full chapters or anything, they're just snippets here and there.
Yeah.
As is relevant. But yeah, that's Motherville, guys.
Yep.
Ghost Town.
Okay, so next we're doing probably Red Tigress, and we'll do Jenny books, and then at some point we'll finish up this, and then something else after that.
We got 7 more Motherville books to go. unless we don't do the anthology, I don't know how we're going to be able to.
We
you know what?
probably won't.
The anthology, though, might actually be easier to do, right? Because the stories are all relatively short. So, so we can discuss like the short stories each.
You know what
I don't
anthology we still need to do?
We do. We do. We need to work out a time for that too.
Yeah.
Shit.
Might be a nice Mercy break, or might be a nice Morganville break.
Honestly, I think we might need a Morganville break. I love Morganville, but sometimes it's fun to just change it up, like just every so often when we're discussing it.
Do you want to do that next?
Yeah, we'll do that next because maybe that'll tide us over till May.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's rude. It's rude making us wait till May.
Yeah, I don't want to wait till May, but yeah.
It is what it is.
Anyway, that's that. And
yes.
We will we'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.